Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elena's Barre, Low Impact Full Body Workouts. We have a fascinating discussion with Melody today. We started talking about the family dynamics and the relationships between men and women. And now we are talking about men, how they should feel like men in the family, why it is important for women not to nag their men and not to kill their manhood inside. But here is a contradictory fact for you guys. I'm going to throw it out there, and I was just about to tell it to Melody. The DSM-5 came out with a definition of toxic masculinity. Have you heard of that one, Melody?
No, I didn't realize that had made it into the DSM.
Oh my gosh, it's a disease now, toxic masculinity. And what they basically describe that for men, expressing his feelings, expressing his emotions is okay. And men shouldn't try to compete with other men. Men shouldn't be brave. They shouldn't be restraining their emotions and etc. I can dig it up for you. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's some interesting and fascinating stuff, which makes me question, okay, if we came up with something like that, basically killing the manhood out there as they are growing up as boys, why can't we come up with something for women? Why can't we say something like
a toxic femininity?
Femininity, right, or toxic womanhood.
Toxic womanhood.
And describe some of those traits such as, look, nagging. We just ended up talking about it, right? Nagging, bitching, demanding things, entitlement, you name it. False accusations of men, and etc. Why isn't it on the DSM-5 yet?
Well, probably because there'd be so much backlash. Like people be like pissed off. I mean,
women will be pissed off.
It is a thing that you see, but maybe it's the toxic womanhood is the reason why they won't list it, because they know that it's going to bring that all to the surface and it's not going to go good for whoever writes the DSM, you know?
Right.
So I kind of like the fact that it's not in the book kind of like proves its point, because obviously like, and yeah, there are males who are just jerks and there's women who are the same. But yeah, it's not like only men can, you know,
can be bad.
Can be, yeah, or can like not kind of interact in society in a healthy manner. Like women are just as capable.
I see this disbalance and this inequality, and you can call it, guys, that we have equality and etc. No, I don't see equality that feminism proclaims in how we treat men versus how we treat women. We obviously favor one party more than another. We do. In the social relationships and interactions, women get more leverage than men do. And it's really frustrating, guys. I really feel for you, but you have to protect yourself. You have to defend yourself even more nowadays than before, because of how our society has been twisted. Yeah, I was trying to find the file. Obviously, I don't have access to the DSM-5, but you can order the book and you can read it. It's out there, The Toxic Masculinity and what it represents.
It's probably a pretty big book, I'm guessing, at this point. It's like every edition they add.
Yeah, it describes the mental okay, I'm looking at this one. It describes the mental diseases and gives the symptoms. It's an interesting book, and we used to use it in psychology back when I was studying psychology in the university. to determine the people's conditions, you know. I had an article, an interesting article yesterday. Oh, I think it was Psychology Today. Yep. Okay, I'm going to share this one with you. I think it's this one. Maybe it was a different one. Yeah, it was toxic. It was from Psychology Today. Okay, what is toxic masculinity? Yep. Okay, now I'm going to share the file with you so that you can see it for yourself. You can see it with your own eyes. Hold on. Here you go. Can you see it, Melody?
Yeah, it's showing up.
Okay. Here you go. So this is the article, and the movement Me Too is just crazy on Instagram or just on the social media. Here you go. Toxic masculinity is the result of a set of strict rules that prescribe what being a man should be. These toxic man rules include: a man should suffer physical and emotional pain in silence. A man shouldn't seek warmth, comfort, and tenderness. A man should only have the emotions of bravery and anger. Any other emotions are weaknesses. Weakness is unacceptable. A man shouldn't depend on anyone. Asking for help is also weak. A man should always want to win, whether in sports, work, relationships, or sex.
So that's what they're I guess that's what the kind of the unwritten man rules in society are, basically. Yes. Is what they're saying.
Yes, it's the toxic signs of a man.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, because I work with men, I mean, almost exclusively, you know, especially with my construction work, and like I don't see that. Like I see men like being emotional. Maybe it's because, you know, they have a different relationship with me, and like it's kind of, I don't know, I've been told a lot of times, like, it's not that I'm like unattractive, but like guys who know me really well get like actually repulsed, like if they have attraction to me, because they're like, oh gross, it's Melody, like she's like your little sister or something, you know. And it's like, no, she's not related to you at all, and she's like really nice, and she fixes up nice, and like that's not a problem. But but it doesn't feel right, you know. Like she is like my little sister. And yeah, and they are vulnerable. I mean, they'll cry, talk about their things, and I almost wonder if, like, you know, women who have this idea that men should be this way, that's when they act that way. Like, oh well, you know, women are gonna judge me and like think less of me if I don't do these things, and like it's kind of self-perpetuating in that way, you know.
Yeah, and look, I think that it contradicts with what masculinity is about, right? Men should be strong, men should be able to defend themselves and their loved ones. And here, men should only have the emotions of bravery and anger. So this is considered toxic, by the way. And I don't see it as toxic. You see, a lot of this things that they describe here, but in fact, you know, a man should suffer physical and emotional pain in silence. This is what we expect men to do.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why they do that, because that's the woman's expectation. And if they realize, like, no, that's not the female's expectation that they're placing upon the men, like they are willing to like open up and, you know, I mean, they don't necessarily wear their, I mean, some really do wear their emotions on their sleeves, but not around the general public. It's only around people that they feel really safe around, you know, and that they feel really comfortable with, because yeah, I feel like men kind of do just get this feeling that there's so much like judgment and like criticism coming from women. It's like they can't really do anything right, because if they're, you know, show emotion, then they're weak, and like, you know, the women aren't going to want them.
Emotion,
but
and
then if they like don't,
they're jerks, right?
Yeah, it's like there's no way to win, really, you know, which is like,
okay, man, no matter what you do, you are going to be wrong. Here, I'm moving on to the next point here. A man shouldn't depend on anyone. Asking for help is also weak. I think that a lot of men are raised in a way that they don't depend on anyone, and they can provide, right? Because let me close it down and we'll come back. So that we can see each other, that they provide, they protect women, and it requires some emotions of bravery and emotions of anger at the same time, because if men are not angry when some dude is trying to hurt that man's child, for example, or a woman, and what we are trying to indulge here in men, are we trying to make women out of them, applying these female standards on men, or what are we trying to reach with those statements, you know, that men can't, men should be emotional, and trust me, I know a lot of men who are plenty emotional, and it doesn't help the society at all. It actually makes it worse. Because everybody is just busy emoting. Nobody is producing anything, you know?
I feel like men do a far better job of, I don't know how to put this, but keeping things together when like their world falls apart. Like a woman, like, you know, has like an upset in a relationship or something. It's like, you know, I feel like they're more likely to just kind of like need all this help from other people and support, need to take time off work for self-care and all this stuff. And men can be going through the same thing. And like, you know, they'll maybe mention something to their coworkers, be like, yeah, it's pretty messed up. I'm like really bumming about it. But then they go and do their work for the day, you know, and they don't expect like the entire day to be like revolving around them and their problems. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this crap's going on in my life. I'm really not happy about it, but got to get things done. And, you know, not staying on top of things isn't going to make that situation any better. It's just, you know.
Yeah, because men are fixers. They are going to fix things up whenever we mess something up, whenever things fall apart. Somebody has to do the hard work and put it all together, as you were saying, and somebody has to keep up the good technologies, because we always want more and more solutions to our problems. And look, now women have all the free time that they can spend on studying, they can pursue their careers, they can self-actualize, let's say, and pursue their long-term dreams at the expense of somebody else, you know, assuming a man takes care of all the current bills, all the things that need to be taken care of, you know. And the creation of technologies have helped women spend more time with the families. Do women actually spend more time with their children, or are they too busy?
I don't know. It seems like it's so common for like, I've seen it so many times, like a family out for like an evening stroll. You know, they got the kids walking alongside, one baby in the stroller, both parents are just on their phones. I'm like, what kind of quality family evening is this? Like, you know, like you're not, you're not like you're there with your kids, you're doing things with them, but you're not really there with them, like interacting, engaging with them,
well, why to interact with the kid when they have a daily care, the school system that is set up in a way that you can just ditch your kid out there and forget about him for a while, do your work, go study, exercise, walk, and then the kid comes home and it's time for dinner and then go to bed, right? Or there is no quality there in that family dynamics. There is no relationship per se. People don't spend time together. The moment they socialize, they sit and stare at their phones. That's the socializing time, I guess. Instagram account is more important than spending valuable time with your husband for a lot of women.
Right. Or like, yeah, it almost seems sometimes like, when people do something fun with their partner, their kids, it's like, are you doing this for the experience or for the Instagram shots? Because then you'll see like a family at the beach and like the mom the entire time is just staring at her phone, like taking pictures of like everything. And it's like, go build a sandcastle with your kids. Don't just take pictures of them doing it, like spend some quality time here at the beach.
Yeah, no, she's way too busy posting it for your Instagram cloud. And guys, I was telling you about the social media before. I don't think it was the initial purpose of the social media in terms of how we use it now. But as I said before, our society has become so twisted that it's really hard to find the time off it now, because once you're there, it's dragging you in and it's very addictive, because all of those likes that other people give you, they are just like a dopamine hit, they are just like another drug. Okay, you got that dosage, but what, do you want more? Of course you do want more. And the question comes here, how do we treat a druggie? Do we give him more drugs? Do we give him more likes? Or do we just ignore and take him through a treatment? That's where it comes down to, because if you feel and you know that this is wrong, then don't support it. Don't give likes to the single mommies who are desperate for the attention. And I know a lot of single mommies are going to hate me for saying that. I know a lot of women are going to hate me because the women are next. I'm going to say it out loud. Don't give likes to women that are too busy getting attention with any means they can, exposing their children out there, being in front of the kids in lingerie and just showing off their body parts and then saying, look, I'm a mommy and look how pretty I am. Don't support that. This is sick.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I feel like, yeah, people who kind of approach motherhood with that mentality, it's almost like a PR stunt or something, And it's like, you're, even if you do like love your kids and feel some emotional thing, like you're using them for your benefit, and that's not what kids are for. Like, like as a parent, especially when they're very young, like it's expected that they're going to use you for their benefit. You're providing the food, the clothing, all that stuff.
Yeah, but it wasn't also the kid's choice to be born on the planet, right?
Right. And so it's usually, the parents are, and the kid just kind of shows them. It's like, oh, I'm here. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm just kind of a accessory. And like, yeah, I've seen that. Actually, I worked as a governess for a while. Family, they had more money than they knew what to do with. Obviously they had a governess. But yeah, it was so sad because, this little kid, I watched him take his first steps and stuff, and like, he was so excited, and I was kind of like looking around for his parents, and they weren't anywhere, and just like, half the time, like, they weren't even working, and like, sometimes I would be there and like the mom would just be laying in bed, like watching Seinfeld and eating like mac and cheese all day. I'm like, cool, I guess your son and I are gonna go to the park for the afternoon and have a fun time. Like, I'm sure he'd rather be spending the time with you, but like, you know, it's just kind of weird. Like, you know, they didn't want to buy him like any, like, as he got older, they're really reluctant to get like, you know, new age appropriate toys. But I mean, several $100s every week on clothes, you know, so you can get those cute pictures, you know, with the baby in like the bougie designer outfits. And it's like, the kid, he could care less. Like, you could put him in whatever. And as long as he's like out having a good time with people who love him, like, you know.
Yeah. This is just so sick, guys. It's come to the point when women don't care about children, period. Men, okay, men are providing, they're usually expected to be at work at the time. But women, oh my gosh, we have all the technology to support that. You spend more time with your children and you still don't. Shame on you, seriously, because it's, what does it lead to? What will your kid become later on? Nobody is thinking about the consequences of the choices that they are making, and ignoring your child is also a choice that you make. And it's just frustrating. I used to work with the teenagers a lot, and I know what Melody is talking about. I completely agree that a lot of parents are just oblivious to what happens in with their children. They don't really care. They do care on, if it's an emergency call, like they have to go to be somewhere at the hospital, or their kid did mess up, to pay, so that the parents could pay attention on the kid, you know. But it's just sad. It's really frustrating. I don't want to have kids for that reason. You know, because of the society, what we have become as a society. How do we treat children? Even if I try to raise and do my best to raise the kid the way I think is a good way and healthy way, I will be fighting that with everybody else, you know, because of the infringement, how much other people can tell you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing in terms of raising the kid. And whenever you are raising the voice on your kid, in a nice and safe way, in a healthy way, just to tell the kid how to behave and how not to behave, you are trying to teach him in order to survive in the world. And somebody can just call 911, an emergency, because of the child abuse. And okay, the fact that I'm spending more time explaining to my kid what is right and what is wrong, versus you relying too much on the school system and everybody else, you know, to educate your kid. There is a difference in that. That's one of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry to have kids of my own.
Yeah, I figure there's so many kids out there that are lacking like positive experiences. That's why I'm like involved in Kiwanis and stuff, because it's like, I don't need kids. Like, there's enough kids in the world, you know, like, and I can
do the quality work with the ones that we already have on this planet, rather than popping up new kids. And what for? So you get more likes on Instagram or on other social media? I don't understand that. Okay, we have less than 1 minute, Melody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Very interesting discussion, guys. Give us a like if you enjoy the content. It will help us to expand the channel and let more people become more aware of what is happening.